The Urban Tipping Point project is a 2-year comparative research project funded by a grant from the Economic Social Research Council and the Department for International Development of the UK. It's a project which looks at urban violence in 4 cities across the world. Oliver Jütersonke is a member of the Timor-Leste Dili research team. Oliver, why was Dili chosen as a case study city for the Urban Tipping Point project?
Dili had witnessed a clear tipping point during the crisis of 2006, when a dispute in the armed forces escalated to widespread urban violence that resulted in several hundred dead, thousands of houses burnt down, and hundreds of thousands displaced.
Perhaps you could tell us a little bit about the research that you conducted in the city.
Well, what we did is we did qualitative research in several neighborhoods and on the city level, looking at the standard narratives that people were using to make sense of the crisis and its aftermath, and what the current security sector issues are that still need to be addressed, as was made quite clear earlier this year when the United Nations Security Council decided to prolong its mission UNMIT for another year, citing precisely the security sector as the reason for why it had to remain.
What was the most interesting insight to emerge from the research you conducted?
One of the most interesting findings was that there is a plethora of non-public, private or informal security providers, martial arts groups, ritual arts groups, or simply just neighborhood watch initiatives that play a significant role on the community level in providing its service, namely security, in situations in which the state or the state institutions are either absent or not able to provide such security. And instead of criminalizing them, or at least immediately saying that all these security providers are against the state, what our research found is that there are a wide variety of collaborations and partnerships between public and private, between formal and informal, that need to be taken into account to make sense of how interpersonal violence can be dealt with on the community level, but also to understand the dynamics that lead to interpersonal violence tipping into a much more collective phenomenon, as was seen in 2006.
What kind of policy do you think should be put in place in the light of these findings?
Well, I guess one policy recommendation, or at least an entry point for policy for both the international development community and the state authorities, is precisely more accountability and transparency related to these martial arts groups, ritual arts groups. Much is known about them, or at least talked about them, especially because half of the male population is part of one of these or is a member of one of these groups. Needless to say, they have internal codes of conduct and internal constitutions, but these are not made public, and nobody really knows how they are related to the state, to politics in the country, and what their role both on the city and the community level really is. An umbrella organization for martial arts groups has recently been set up, and I think this is a first step in the direction of making security provision in Dili a much more transparent and hopefully also accountable affair.